already?
We gotta silence our cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Just a moment.
If our esteemed panels, their phones all start ringing. You're doing such a great job, Patty. Good job.
Patty, it's under your chair. It is?
Oh, yeah, it's right back by.
Side. Brian. It might have fallen out of your pocket.
You're good. Are your students all here? Okay. There's some. I have the live feed going next door too, so people can. If we have any stragglers, there's seats, so we can get people in. But. Can I be here? Is this good? Awesome. I feel so far away from you. What camera am I looking into? All right, thank you. All right. Hello and welcome to a new session of Art Talk. Today we are going to be featuring the artwork of Doug Warner. I am Jim Scherter. I am a professor of art and design here at Mott Community College. We want to welcome you all and welcome everybody in our audience today. We're very fortunate to be joined by a panel, Patty Warner. Thank you, Patty. And some of Doug's former students, Brian Liljeblad, Denise Davidek, and Darcy Bowden. So thank you all for joining us today as we kind of talk about Doug, his legacy, the works that he has created, and his influences and impacts on the three of you. So, welcome. So, Patty, can you tell us a little bit about Doug?
Sure. Doug, I mean, the people who knew him, like these people here, am I speaking okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. He loved teaching. He loved making art. He loved these guys. I mean, he bragged about these guys. And, but he was, everyone always said, like, why did he do what he did? And it's interesting because he started out as an architecture student in Oklahoma. But he fell in love with the fine arts and then quickly moved to fine arts and majored in fine arts all the way. And he got this job over here, I think in the 50s? 57?
Yeah, 1957.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came to Mott.
Right. And he thought, maybe it's just to stop and then go on. But he loved it here. And he loved the program and the faculty, and really gained long-term friendships with people like Sam Morello and Tom Newsom and Bob Caskey and Brian. And so anyway, this particular show, the ones we chose, we started, everything was named Notations. And everyone said, what does Notations mean? This piece of the back, this handmade paper with the colored pencil. Okay, that was the first series of the Notation series. And he was influenced heavily by Beethoven's manuscripts. And he would just like feverishly work on them like Beethoven did. And the one story that I can tell that I really love that was the ultimate compliment. He had a piece of those in U of M library, or U of M Ann Arbor Art Gallery. And we walked up there. It wasn't the opening. The whole place was vacant, and my husband and I walked up there, and we could see this gentleman playing air violin in front of it. And we walked over, and we said, oh. He said, I just want to play this. I just have to play this. And he said, then Doug talked to him about the influence, and the guy was knocked out by it, but he played something that, that was so much fun.
That's incredible.
Played that piece, yeah. And then these pieces, to back up for a little bit, the Triangle series, they were in the 70s. That was before Notations. And this is the Joshua Tree series. And that's actually done from a puzzle piece of one of his sons. It's not the Joshua Tree in California, but, that little, it looks like an apple tree. It was a puzzle piece.
Oh.
And so these are the notations. These are all called notations too, with a long Roman numeral number after them. He didn't name them, but he wanted people to look at them and if what they saw is fine. I mean, he didn't want to dictate what was in the painting itself. But you could tell he's influenced by primitive civilizations, music, especially when he's got into adding ladders into it, the pueblos of the Southwest. So it's, anyway, and this was, these paintings were really, he worked on these every single day, and he would probably turn out about 1 or 2 a week, I think, for a while there. They're made with vermiculite and acrylic medium that he would mix in together, and then he would add found objects and other things. Brian said that we should show these, if you want to see the sequence of how they were made. He has a demonstration piece. So, I don't know if they're,
Do you need me
yeah, I think the bottom one is the first one.
Here, I can take one.
Yeah.
Thanks. So these were the process he used
Right.
in creating.
And you could see,
See, this is why we had you as a panel. We needed people to hold these. So
that's what I told him. He said, "What are you going to do with it?" I said, "You're going to hold
look
them."
at, there was the perfect number for us, right?
Yeah. And this would be the. That's the starting one. Then he put the gray over it, rubbed over the gray. I'm not sure, Bri. Maybe that. And this is the finished one. But he would give these when he would do art talks. He would show people.
So is this the start and then the red?
I'm thinking the red is.
Red under here, so.
Yeah, there's red, then the gray.
There's rust under here.
Yeah.
So that's the first one.
Okay, that's the first one.
I'm second.
Yeah.
Third,
And then this is the final piece.
fourth.
So what was happening, Patty mentioned the vermiculite and acrylic medium. So vermiculite is a mineral. It's mined. Used to be used as an insulation material in buildings and houses. So it's little particles or granules or whatever. And so he would mix that with the acrylic medium, and it would make it into like a kind of slush that he would trowel on to the surface, and then he would start working back into that combination of acrylic medium and vermiculite before it set up. You know, the acrylic medium would eventually dry or start to dry, and then so he had a working period that he worked out, whatever number of minutes or whatever, I don't know. It would depend on how much water was mixed in with the medium and the vermiculite. But
Yeah, sometimes he would like put a layer on and then go back and smoke his pipe and rock. Put a layer on and then smoke his pipe and rock at his chair and kind of look at it, and look at it. And then he'll go out. He would sometimes even make his own instruments out of nails, brushes, and he would gouge in things and
To kind of create the relief.
Right,
and-
right. And it's so it is. What's interesting about these is when the sun hits them, like several people, they own them. It's totally different painting on east side or west side or, yeah.
Now his studio, he had a studio. Was that in the house or did he have an outside
He
studio
started
space?
when he started the Notation series. It was in our basement, and then he had a studio for years down above the torch.
Ah.
Which was quite nice. Gary Gebhardt owned the bar then, and a former student that he loved. I didn't think about Gary, but he's never here. And so, And he had that was a sanctuary for years. He would go there every single day, 7 in the morning, and come home like around 3, and just create. And people said, "Oh, does he have a show coming up?" He did belong to a gallery in Detroit called Joe Shapili, that he always had to work, for a show. But he just had to make art to make art, and I think that's what all you guys did too. You still do. You just
So I want to get to all three of you, but first, could you clarify for everyone? Because for me, I came in probably near the end as a student of Doug's career, and I never had any interactions with Doug. So
Oh,
Doug
really?
was unknown to me.
Oh, really?
I mean, I heard his name, right?
Yeah.
But I had never, I didn't have any classes. I came in right when the graphic design program started as
yes.
a student.
With Mara,
and
uh-huh.
yep, so I was with Mara Fulmer, but I had like Tom Newsom and Tom Bonnert
Oh,
were
I know it.
instructors, and Kate Smith. So Doug is absent from my experience,
Right.
which is sad because I hear such good things. But what was his primary area of teaching when he was teaching here?
We started out, was it drawing and sculpture, and then drawing and then sculpture. Thank you, Brian. I'm so glad you're here, dear. Drawing and sculpture, and then painting, 2D, 3D. That's right. It's funny because I went to school, I had Sam Morello and Caskey, and I never had Doug as a teacher. He would have flunked me probably. So it's probably a good thing. I saw him all the time, but
So maybe the three of you can share a little bit of insight as his former students. What kind of impact did Doug have on you? What kind of instructor was he? Denise has things to say right off the bat.
How was he? Hi, everyone.
This is my wife, so trying to help her out. And she's
That goes both ways, right,
Wouldn't-
Denise? Just wait.
Wouldn't be anywhere without him. Anyway, well, I liked it because he was always so calm. I mean, easy to work with, explained everything you needed to know, or what else did I like? I liked the fact, 2D, stop.
It's
He wants to hear what you're saying.
In 2D, there was a lot more explanation and keeping you going on your task, but once we got to 3D, I liked that we had to find things out on our own and make some of our own mistakes. And in this time in my life, I look back, because I was a teacher for a little while, and letting your kids make some mistakes is really a good thing to do. They learn a lot more that way, have more confidence in themselves. But he was always, he was very nurturing about the art part, and what can I say? I loved being around him, okay? Liked all the influences that he showed us. I know we went on field trip once with Sam and Doug. That was fun. To Detroit, yeah. Anyway.
I'm Darcy. Hi, everyone. Well, without Doug's influence in my life, I probably wouldn't have had a lifetime of art making. And I think he was the first person who gave, I had encouragement in high school, but to come to college and have his gift of approval and education really, boosted me. And he saw things in my artwork that I didn't see, because I was 19 when I first had him, and actually Denise and I were in the same class, and at that time he was doing this the Joshua's drawing series too, and I think we were really we were taking advanced drawing during that time, and we were really beneficiaries of what he was working out in those drawings. I mean, I just looked at them again, and I realized how much nuance and all the different values of black he gets out of the drawing tools. And I also kind of noticed what a limited, he limits his design motifs, but he just works the heck out of them, and they're beautiful. I mean, it is, if you look around the room, there you see a lot of squares, circles, triangles, and lines, but there is so much variation and development in that limited palette. So, but yeah, his influence is just inexplicable. I can't really, it's huge, so.
So, Brian, before I ask you to talk about this, of the three of you, who is still a practicing artist? Yes, isn't that great? That is outstanding, right? So that is awesome. Now, Brian, you're a little bit different, right? Because Doug had a different influence on you.
I'm the man up here. These are the women.
There's so many things I want to say to you about that statement, but we'll talk about that in private later, and Denise will have a lot to say to you. So, but you you studied with Doug, but then you also came back and worked and took over Doug's responsibilities as the gallery coordinator for our fine arts gallery here at Mott Community College for a number of years. So maybe you can talk about some of his influences and what led you to kind of follow in his footsteps.
Well, I did definitely follow. He was, I was going to do a little kind of background on the history of the gallery. And then, but Patty and I go back, we're the old people here. We were both in the, Sam Morello's drawing class in the fall of '66. That's when we started. And I didn't have Doug as an instructor until I got to sculpture another year later. But so the important thing here is that this gallery exists in the department because Sam Morello, the guy we keep mentioning, and Doug created the gallery program. We were at the time sharing the facility at the Flint Institute of Arts that is now has the studios and offices and whatever. That was all studios at one time. It was that facility was owned by the Flint Board of Education, so they had college classes there, Flint Institute of Art classes, and Flint adult education and child education classes in that same facility. So what Sam and Doug did was take the what was at the time the art history classroom. The art history instructor moved over here to main campus, and they turned that room, which was really exactly the same dimensions, 19 by 30 feet. They turned that into a gallery. And Doug had, this was mid-'80s, Doug had retired from full-time at that point. And then that was when he became the gallery coordinator. So it was an educational tool and still is, bringing in artists from outside the department, having them do a lecture, talk with students, whatever. Create this experience that we're having today. So I just thought I'd mention that. He was, on the other hand, I was the technical assistant at that time, now called support specialist. That's the new guy, Josh, back there.
Josh
He's
Justice, yeah.
doing the job now. So the technical assistant or support specialist has the responsibility to work with the gallery coordinator in terms of making things happen in the gallery with installation of the artwork, meeting the artist, and that kind of thing. So I was fortunate to be able to work with Doug when he was gallery coordinator and I was technical assistant for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And then he was influential in the fact that I became the gallery coordinator, in the sense that he recommended me for the position. So I must say I was quite intimidated by the whole situation, because Doug was so capable of every little detail and every formality and whatever involved with being a gallery coordinator. And I didn't think I was quite up to the task in that regard, but nevertheless, I did it myself for about 15 years as well. I just gave it up, I think it's 3 years ago already. But so anyway, that's my experience, as well as the fact that I had him for sculpture along the way. And before that, it's a long story, but my parents knew him and his wife at that time, Sarah, and so when I was told I was going to the community college, they connected me with Doug because they knew him. So Doug actually sat down with me and helped me fill out my first class schedule.
Oh, my goodness.
So, so that's where the history goes with me up until he died. And then
Can I add something about your lovely? They used to install shows all day, and then they would come over. We'd have dinner, and Doug would come home and he'd say, "We're like an old married couple." He said, "Okay, so you had your choice of music for the first half, right? And then for lunch, then Doug could choose his music, stuff like that." But I would go up there sometimes. They would just be laughing, and just
Yeah.
they were like an old married couple. And Doug just really, dearly loved all these guys. But Brian was so special to him, especially when Doug was in hospice. How much he helped him. When you hung that thing, you were always there. He could always count on this guy. That's the kind of anyway.
Well, and that old married couple thing came up because when we were installing work, we'd have different opinions about the placement of the work or how to hang it, the height, and on and on. So we'd go kind of bickering back and forth for a while. So we labeled ourselves an old married couple because of the bickering that went on.
It's interesting to hear you talk about like the kind of standards that Doug had, especially in this gallery, because I think that carries on in many ways because of you, Brian. You're very particular, and I think both myself and Professor Tim Kranz, who have worked with you and been involved in exhibitions with you, we're constantly asking ourselves, what would Brian do? And I think that's a definite reflection of what would Doug have done, because when you turned over galleries, Brian had like folders and folders of detailed notes about the gallery and that he had, and I think a lot of that was Doug's influences.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, I've still got files of folders and folders.
I have a thought about that piece in the back. You said it's handmade paper, right?
Right.
And I remember, I think it was 1972 when he must have gone to that Twin Rocker paper studio and met the
Right.
people who started that. And they were the people who were bringing handmade paper to this country.
It was an amazing place.
Yeah, and he started going there. They were friends,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And making paper. And in our class, he got so excited about it that he had us place an order for papers from all over the place. And he ordered like Japanese rice papers for us to draw on in our advanced
Ooh.
drawing class. And
Wow.
I remember that's when I first touched Kitakata. Which I still love as
Yeah.
a paper, and just like what other ones? Well, I have the whole glossary in my head, but I won't name them. But they had so many different textures and surfaces, and it really affected the way your drawings looked. Before that, we were just drawing on something like what those are on the white, the Joshua, yeah. Or even a bond paper,
But,
and
yeah,
then,
he's got-
then we started using the French
Right.
papers, and
I might have some extra paper for you too.
oh, I have extra paper.
I take paper.
Okay. Okay.
I
So, oh, I'm sorry, Denise, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, as Darcy was talking about the paper making and the influence that Doug had on making our own paper ourselves, but then I went, oh my gosh, he's really making paper all around the room. Well, to me anyway.
Well, you talked about like kind of this opportunity to kind of explore, figure things out for yourself, and talking about paper making, like Doug's own explorations kind of influencing what he did in the classroom. Was there a lot of that? Was there a lot of that kind of like, oh, Doug was interested and now he's learned something new, so now he's bringing that into you all to play and to experience?
Well, specifically, I recall that, but I remember other projects like in two-dimensional design where, he was just open to any little kernel of an idea that you might suggest to him. I think he would start getting fireworks about it and then just really help you form that into something. And if there were technical concerns, which there always were, he knew how to surmount them. So, that's one of the things I didn't know is how to handle specific materials. Like we did things with plexiglass, I remember, and polyester resin and things like that. And so it's just, he could really help you push your ideas forward.
I am really glad that we didn't use that polyester resin for very long because it's very dangerous.
Well, I was reminded when Denise and Darcy started talking about those influences, the other thing that was critical for the department that Doug and Sam influenced dramatically was, for instance, when Patty and I were students, there was no printmaking offered. Sam built that program. He wrote the class description or whatever. He created that course, in other words. And Doug actually created the bronze casting facility as part of sculpture. Very rare for a community college to do bronze casting. I remember when I left to go to school elsewhere, I would talk to students that came from four-year schools that had no bronze casting. So those of us that were there got an experience or experiences that didn't exist elsewhere. So we learned a lot thanks to Doug and Sam building the department. And Doug created, they were talking about advanced drawing, mostly in first and second year programs. It's 2 semesters of drawing, whatever, drawing 1, drawing 2, whatever, Doug added advanced drawing for students to experience, like Darcy was saying, different kinds of papers, different kinds of drawing materials, whatever. So they were very influential and inspired to teach, literally create teaching experiences.
Denise?
I wanted to say something very brief about the bronze casting. Thanks to Doug, I got that question totally right on some art exam I had to take when I was in college. And the papers, yeah, advanced drawing was really amazing. It's like you got your freedom, and off you went. It was great.
So, Patty, why did you choose the name Cycles for this exhibition?
Well, I'm sorry. That was one of the words. There's a word in one of his artist statements, and so the cycle continues. And actually, that's on his tombstone, or his what do you call it? His ashes at Great Lakes, because he's always on a journey. He was always searching, always, he didn't stop here, just went from here to there. I mean, these guys can relate to that. He would how did you know that it would go from handmade paper and scribbles of watercolor to these? I mean, it just went on, and it's still, I don't know what people said, what is your favorite series? And I can't say. I really can't.
They're all meaningful.
They are, yeah, and they're all just, there's only two triangles in here, this one and that one, but, or pyramid series. Did he call them pyramid series?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Patty,
Okay.
I mentioned this to you earlier, but did he ever cite his artistic influences, like people who really inspired him?
Well, he had a ton of art books. I think a lot of people influenced him. We were talking about Cy Twombly,
Yeah,
which
you
you could,
said he
you know,
had
the-
a lot of books.
Cy Twombly,
Yeah.
Motherwell. What were some of the? But I don't.
Nothing that
Looking
you
to the
can-
art books, everyone almost Native American artists
Yeah.
who actually, and but I'm sure if I would have asked him, he probably could have given me 4 or 5 people that were the big influences. What do you think? Did he ever tell you?
No, not in particular. I was just going to mention Richard Hunt.
Richard
as
Hunt, yeah.
artists that he knew
Yeah.
and worked with,
Right.
and admired. And
Yeah.
that's that stainless steel sculpture out there across the creek, done by Richard Hunt, who was Doug and Richard were good friends.
Yeah, and Richard just passed away
Mhm.
recently, and
And what a
he's a
great
good guy.
person.
Oh.
When he was installing that, we had the opportunity. He came over here and
That's
talked
what
with
you
our
said.
students. And just the kindest, most generous
He is
person of
so
sharing his
humble.
time with our students and us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He taught too, right?
Pardon?
He was a teacher too, right?
No,
No?
no.
Oh.
We would go and visit him in Chicago
Oh,
all the
okay.
time. He was just like, everyone would refer to him as the all shucks guy, because he didn't, oh, that's just a sculpture, He never, he was so humble, but he was just a really, really good person. A lot of fun too. But that doesn't surprise me that he would take the time, because again, he always wanted to. I don't think he taught Darcy, but that I know of. I think but he would talk to classes and stuff.
So, Darcy, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now with your art?
Well, about 10 years ago, I was working in printmaking, and then I retired from teaching, and I actually wanted to start a community studio in printmaking. Oh, and I wanted to start it with who's the Bigelow?
Oh,
No, the son, Ben Bigelow,
Yeah.
and he thought that was a good idea, and then he went and had twins and became the stay-at-home dad. So, that wasn't going to happen. So around that time, I found a ceramic studio, and I've been working there ever since. Well, 2 different studios, but so I'm working in clay.
oh,
And some of the recent things I've been doing is modeling in 3D modeling software, Rhino, but not digitally printing it, not ceramic printing. Actually having the software make, I get a flat pattern, like a sewing pattern from the software, and then I lay that on my clay slabs, cut around it, and assemble the work. So that's one of the things I work on.
Do you have a show coming up or anything?
Well, I'm in a cup show that opens on Friday at the Ann Arbor Art Center, come to think of it. And in the summers, I've been showing up in Glen Arbor at the Center Gallery. And I do a lot of home sales.
I think you need to do a workshop on that technique.
Oh, and I do workshops.
All right.
I'm starting a silk screening on clay workshop in about 2 weeks.
Are you really?
Yeah,
We'll
in
talk
Ann Arbor.
I love that.
Okay. Well, I love teaching that. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, I didn't mean you had to stop talking. I'm sorry. But we'll definitely talk about that later. So, oh no, don't hand that away. What are you working on?
Oh.
Because you need to come back.
Yeah,
I need,
I know.
I need to see you working on stuff around here.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. Blah, blah, blah. One time, Sam Morello said to me when he saw me after a long amount of time, when I went to college, I majored in everything. Well, not everything. Ceramics, drawing, painting, anything. And he said that was very sad. I know this is about Doug. Yeah, he said someone should have made me choose something. And I think about that statement all the time, and I still don't know what I would choose because they're all kind of wonderful.
Yeah. You don't have to choose.
Well, I understand the concept of choosing, though. It's like you get to focus. So, anyway, what am I doing now? I'm doing everything and anything I can find out in the street or in the forest, I bring it home to put into my art. And I just started trying to put little things out there in the world. I have lots of issues. Anyway, what else did you want to know from me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh,
Well,
printmaking. I was at Wayne State a long time ago, and I was short 3 credit hours to graduate. And I went, well, never mind what I said. But I had never taken printmaking, and then I got that last 3 hours of work was in printmaking, and I fell in love with that, intaglio printmaking. Oh. And then I came back here to Mott. I've done painting here, but that was a long time ago. Printmaking most recently, which I truly, truly love, and ceramics, which I truly, truly love. But now ceramics is gone, so I don't have. I talk too much, don't I?
no,
Okay.
I thought that was a dig at me.
No.
So I took over that studio.
Well, the only reason why you took it over is because they emptied it out. That has nothing to do with you.
I put screen printing in that room.
Excellent. Anyway, I don't know. You'd have to ask me another specific question because.
Well, the work that you were exhibiting last fall when we had that show of former students and
Okay.
your like little found object things
Yeah.
that was amazing. So I look forward to seeing more of that in the future.
Thank you. That was very kind of you.
Just truth.
Thank you.
How about you, Brian?
Well, that just reminded me another way. What I've been thinking about with Doug and Sam Morello and other people that I was fortunate enough to work with and know in this department. The idea is making things happen. So, as students, you need to make things happen for yourself. Denise mentioned going to Wayne State. We lived in Birmingham at the time in the 70s, and she used to ride the bus carrying a painting from Birmingham all the way down to Detroit and back. So that was how committed she was. So do what you have to do and never stop working. But anyway, what I was supposed to be saying was Sam Morello again, and another member of the faculty at the time. His name was Tom Newsom. He's since passed away. Doug is gone. Sam is gone. So their legacy lives on. In other words, with Sam and Tom Newsom, they were instrumental in creating the gallery downtown called Buckham Fine Arts Project. One of the few nonprofit galleries probably in the country that was able to sustain itself over 40 years. We're looking at, this is the 40th anniversary year of Buckham Gallery. And so it was Sam and Tom Newsom, and then several other people. Gary Gebhardt, his name came up. He actually owned and still owns the building where the gallery was first located, upstairs on 2nd Street. The gallery has since moved downstairs and across the street, thanks to the Mott Foundation. And so I mention that because I was one of the first participants in an exhibition at Buckham Gallery in 1984. So I've been invited to have a piece in their 40th anniversary exhibition, which is coming up in May. So I'm thankful for the fact that that gallery was created, because over the years it provided a place for me and many, many people to exhibit their work. If it hadn't been there, I don't know, hopefully I would have done other things, but it was there, it was local. We knew, those of us that lived and worked in the area knew the people that ran the gallery, and so it was very comfortable in that sense to be able to go there and show your work. And we had a 50th birthday party.
That's right, we did.
We created an exhibition. It was Patty, me, Gary Gebhardt, who owned the building, still owns the building, Tom Bonnert, who's former faculty here, and another
Tom Fardell.
interloper.
He wasn't quite.
He wasn't. We were all 50. We all were the same age at that time. So
That
we
was fun.
made it into a birthday party celebration. But the idea was that rather than us receiving gifts, we donated works that the gallery could sell to raise money, and we then invited a couple or more artists that we knew, asked them if they would donate work, and so that work was on the wall as well as our work around the gallery, so we could that way help the gallery sustain itself. We got a whole bunch of cupcakes, and we sang happy birthday at the opening and whatever. It was a lot of fun. So, and again, making things happen.
So I'm wondering if at this point there's any questions from anyone in the audience.
Mark
I guess it'd be a question for Patty. I'm noticing in our home we have several paintings of Doug's with the ladder theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed here there's quite a few with the ladder. And I wondered if that's something that was special to him, or they just happened to turn out that way, or what.
No, that the ladders, he added the ladders, they were very special to him. I think it was all part of this primitive, like, I don't know, there's one artist statement that explains it better, but it wasn't just like, oh, let's put a ladder in here.
I think wasn't Anasazi Native American
Yeah.
part of his influence?
Pueblo, Anasazi, it's with the Native American cultures and religions and stuff like that. But
Hi, I own a Warner myself, and I love it, and it's part of the notation series. So my piece is predominantly white, but I remember you saying one time, Patty, that Doug spent an incredible amount of hours on all of these and worked with layers of black to get a depth and a color in each one of them. Like I say, mine's predominantly white.
Right.
But do you have any idea how many hours average he would spend per notation series?
that's a good question, Ken. Because I remember he would. Can you hear me? I remember when he would start a painting, it would be almost like how this was. He'd lather on the first coat, let it dry, think about it. He would do maybe little sketches, but never really, nothing was carved in stone, if you pardon the pun. And then, it seems like starting on a Monday, say he goes to the studio, and because all the different layers, he wipes the top color off, sits down for a while, and then keeps, layering, keeps gouging, keeps drawing. So probably, I don't know, as hours go, I would say, what's a good hour? I wouldn't know how. It would take about, at least to do a completed one that he was happy with, about a week. Yeah. But I love that one of yours because he doesn't have very many white ones. And you can see all the layers that are like underneath it. Right. Thank you, Mr. Van Wagener.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
I have a question, Patty. Where did Doug's fascination with the Pueblo culture and Native American culture come from? What inspired him to create these? They're almost like cave paintings.
Right. Well, he's from Oklahoma, so his heritage is, I think it's like a little itch of Cherokee in him. But he's always been fascinated by Native American history, their art, their religion. And so it really started way back when he was a young man. And then he studied about them, and he got to be good friends with a gentleman named Dick Port in Flint, who he lived with the Native American, the Sioux, and he's got this huge collection. So they would spend hours talking and going over everything. So I think it basically came from that way back, yeah.
Anyone else? So I have a question for each of you, and it's going to end with you, Patty.
Oh dear.
Favorite memory of Doug? I know, right? It's the hardest question ever, right?
Well, this is just a humorous moment. It doesn't have anything to do with art education, but one time I just was clopping down the hallway and I had these new shoes. They were They were wooden clogs, but they were lime green. And he said something like, "I love those red shoes." There you go. It was endearing.
I'm privileged to say that I've had dinner with the Warners. Thank you very much. And one time when we were there, I was trying to be helpful in the kitchen. Doug was there. He was in the kitchen. And there was nothing I could do, which, yeah. But I just started talking about my job, teaching, and things that were going on. And I don't think I'll ever forget how he said to me, "They're not doing right by you. They should be encouraging you and bringing out the most that they can with the teacher that they have in you." And it was wonderful. I thank you, Doug, very much for that. It has helped me many times.
I've drawn a blank here. Because there were so many years that I spent with Doug and knew him and his wife, Patty, and whatever, on and on. So I guess it's mostly just the memory of the things I already mentioned. I was going to mention, let me mention about him again, farther back. Interesting. He was a very good golfer. Everything he did very well. So, and I remember hearing at one time he considered trying to become a pro golfer. He was that good. So there's a memory. All of them are fond.
So, Patty?
Well, so what can I say? But speaking of golf, he turned me into the tomboy. I never threw a baseball, never golfed or anything. And he said, "You are a tomboy." And he taught me, I can't anymore, but I had a really mean split finger forkball that he taught. And he was so proud of me. Got me for my 40th birthday. He bought me my own Louisville Slugger with my name on it, and my own glove that he said you have to oil it and sleep on top of it. And then he taught me how to golf, and he just worked with me, and so some of the other things too, but the sports thing, because I never did sports, and he just said, "Yeah, come, I'll take you under my wing." But also his love of so many things. In his later life, he loved cooking and everything, loved to cook for these people. But he just always adored he never forgot his students. Remember that one time at your house, and Gerhard was there, and Ted was there? Yeah. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool. We had a lot of the students there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So anyway, that's my memory. Huh?
Birds and animals.
Oh, birds and animals. Oh, yes. We had 2 birds and 2 dogs. Now I'm just down to 1 bird. But no, he loved his birds and his dogs. Yeah. And he loved his friends, his family.
And he
me.
loved the old Tiger Stadium.
Oh, yes. The old Tiger Stadium, we fought to keep that. Yep. So we were married like 32 years, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank all three of you enough for coming in today to share
I can't
your.
either. Thank
I know,
you.
right? How great for the three of them for coming in today. Yeah, they deserve a round of applause. Yeah, so thank you for sharing your memories with us. And Patty, I want to thank you because you didn't even hesitate when I reached out to you and said, hi, Doug was a big influence. I know he was a big influence. And would you please be willing to show his work? And you were like, absolutely. And would you be willing to do a talk? What? But I think this is really nice because, I think the title of Cycles, this is a new cycle of our students being reintroduced for the first time to Doug and his work. And it introduces him to the community in a new way, which I think is outstanding. So thank you so much for your time. So you have been amazing. So thank you. Yeah, I also want to thank Josh Justice, who is our art support specialist, but he is also our gallery coordinator now as well. So thank you for making this exhibition happen and working with Patty. To Brian Williams from our Media Services Department for live streaming this and making this a smooth process. So thank you, Brian, for all your help there. So Doug's exhibition will be up through next Friday, so tell your friends, tell them to come. The live stream of this will be available. We'll post it on our Facebook page. We'll get it out on our MCC website as well, so you'll be able to watch that again if somebody wants to see it. Patty, you can go back and let us know how we did. Our next exhibition will happen in April, which will be featuring former faculty member John Dempsey. John, exciting. Some of his works on paper. They just got delivered today. Yeah, they just came in. So we'll be doing that, and we're working with John to put a Zoom presentation because he is out of state now. So hopefully we'll be having a talk with him and get to hear a little bit about his work. And that will conclude our centennial celebration in the gallery this year for Mott's 100th anniversary. And then in May, we hope you all come back and join us for our student art show, which will be featuring all the amazing work that happened this year. So thank you all for coming. Thanks for everyone who's watching. And again, thanks to all of you for your time today.
Thank you.